Okay, everybody has their copies. Lovely. Okay, so this is the Audit Finance Committee meeting. We have present our committee members, Viviana Demar, Shonda Powell, myself, Sheree Vickers, and our financial administrator, Adriana Wonderland. We are going to be reviewing the 1 year and 5 year payments to the agency. And as required, we'll also review the letter that we are submitting to the appointing authority on all of the line items that we have in the budget. So, you want me to go through it and then, okay. And then if you have any questions, that's why Adriana is here too. You've also been given a copy of the P&L, which is the backup for the budget. So as you can see, just to give you an overall, as a general rule, the 2026 budget is pretty much of a 4% increase of what we spent and made last year, and then thereafter from 2027 to 2030, we just increased it by 3%, which kind of coincides with the yearly increase inflation. Yes, but that's where we get these numbers. Just like what inflation would likely cause these numbers to be in the future. So let's just go down. So for charges for services, we propose $3,000, and we arrive at that figure because we charge $1,000 for patient fee. So we're just projecting that we'll receive 3 applications next year at $1,000 each, and we project that for the next 5 years that we'll get 3 applications a year. For rental and financing income, we're proposing revenue of $343,235.03. The way we arrive at that figure is we have projected all of our income from the cell phone tower and the armory, correct. And then the reason why that number drops down from 2027 to 2030 is that we are projecting that we will not receive the armory rental income after 2027. And also it's a number that's been less in the past because the armory is rented by the county, and the county vacated some of their space. Therefore, they're not paying the full amount that they have been in the past. So that's also why that number is less than in previous years. We do not have any other operating income, so that's 0. For investment earnings, that is what we make on interest from our bank. And we are projecting increases of 3% from 2027 to 2030. And we do not have any grants, no subsidies, and none other non-operating revenue. So that brings our total revenue for 2026 to $632,061.04. And then, it increases pretty much by 3% from 2027 to 2030. For operating expenditures, we have salaries and wages. We just increased it by 4% of what it was, I think, for 2024. And then thereafter, it increases by 3% to just in line with inflation. As employees, we do not receive any other benefits, so that is 0. Professional service contracts. Let's see what we included in that. What is that? Professional service. That number includes website services, attorney fees, board meeting video recording services, the annual audit expense, and that number increases by 3% after 2026. What's the next line item? Supplies and materials. That's what we use in the office. Plain, like, Office Depot. Other operating expenditures, this includes administrative expenses such as bank service charges, Zoom subscription, dues and subscriptions, postage, professional membership, retreat and software expenses. Software expenses like what I use for Adobe, professional Adobe. And so that number increases by 3% every year after 2026. And that brings the total operating expenditures for 2026 to $387,540.40. So for non-expenditures, that's zero. We do not have payment of principal on bonds and financing arrangements. We do not pay for interest and other financing charges. We do not have subsidies. We do not have capital assets. We do not have grants and donations or other non-operating expenditures. So that brings the total expenditures for 2026 to $394,540.45. And as a rule, increases by 3% for inflation moving forward. So we would end 2026 with an excess of $237,520.59. And we do have an excess projected for the next 4 years after that. However, as I mentioned, it's not as large for the following years because of that dip in the RRA payment that we use. And that is pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
If it's, but I remember that.
Yeah.
There's no projected closing costs for any projects in this budget.
Correct. And that is because we don't know if the project will close. You know, we have a couple of projects for police. In a perfect world, we might have 1 to 4 projects closing next year. And yeah, of course, because we're projecting 3,000 in application fees. So those are prospective projects, but I also don't know what revenue those would bring in and closing costs. So we don't include that in the projections for revenue. But yes, in a perfect world, the revenue actually might be quite much more increased because we would be closing our project. So it could be way more than what we have there at the bottom. So what we do is we'll just do this kind of like a formal way. Do I have a motion to recommend this your budget to the full board at our November 17th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody opposes, nobody abstains. No. Okay, great. So then we'll have a resolution at our November 17th meeting, and then maybe Vicky, I can do it, you can do it, but we'll just give them the rundown. Everybody will be given the same copy of the same information you have. So just depending on how quickly we want to run through it at the board meeting, but everybody has received a copy. And also this budget will be in the board meeting packet as well. So the public will also have a chance to look at it before the board meeting if they don't make any. Okay. Good. Do we have a meeting? All right.